gotten a whole lot of information. Well, we're live now, so I'll talk to you later. Hi, Kip. Good to see you again.
Hey, Bob. I'm good to be here.
Great. Thanks for starting recording, John. Appreciate that. Okay, hang on a second. Let me take care of that. Great. Okay. Fantastic. We have a Zoom user who has joined us. Could you let us know who you are, and I'll put your name in, change your name for you?
Yes, it's Vera again.
Vera, hi.
Hi.
Vera, right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Hi, Carol. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Brulotl. Okay. Not sure if I pronounced that right. Brulotl. Okay. Betty, hi. Lynn. We'll get a few people joining in here as well. So welcome to Windows 10 basics, right? So we have John from Get Set Up. He's our teaching assistant. He's in chat. He's here to help out with any technical difficulties. If there are suggestions, I don't know if all of you know how to use chat. Does everyone know how to open up chat on Zoom?
No, I do not.
Oh, okay. Well, John, we're gonna cover that for people, okay, so that we help them learn how to use chat. Okay, so what I'm going to do is share my whole screen, and then John's going to post something in chat to everyone so that you can see it. Until I think you join chat, you don't see the chat session. So I'm going to share my whole screen because chat can really be helpful. It really can. So I have to share my whole desktop in order for you to see this. So what you see now is the gallery, right? And you see some controls on the bottom of the screen here, okay? So one of these buttons, I have a few more buttons than you do because I am a host and you are a participant, right? Makes sense. Okay, so as the host and participant, we have a microphone. We have a video camera. That's how you turn on and off your camera. So if I turn it off, you just see a picture of me. If I turn it on, I'm live on video. If we scroll to the right, you'll see a button called chat, okay? If you click on that, it opens up a little window called chat, okay? And that's, if you click your mouse in chat, you can type something. So if I type a message, hello to everyone. And don't worry if you don't spell right, that's okay. Okay, and so you can say hi to everyone in chat and they can see what you type. So John, if we come up with ideas for classes and things like that that we think we want to suggest to you, John's going to post them in chat. Hi, Lynn, good to see you. See, so it's something that really is helpful to be able to use. Now on a phone or a tablet, it's a little different. When you tap the three dots, I don't think you get chat on iPads, if I'm not mistaken. Vicky teaches the iPad class, and she told me that people with iPads don't necessarily get to see chat, unfortunately. But that's why we send out an email after class to help you out. So feel free to use chat. There's also a button called reactions. And the button at the bottom called reactions gives you the ability to raise your hand, get my attentions. That's another way to help people out too. That way we can, we can make sure that we answer questions from people as they come up as well. So a little Zoom lesson here. Let me stop sharing my whole screen and go back to stop sharing here. Okay, so let's see if we can do this. Okay, so what we're going to cover today are some things about Windows 10 basics that help you. And it doesn't matter whether you know Windows a lot or know Windows a little. I'm hoping that you'll learn something. I'm Bob Cohen, and I'm your guide. And we're going to talk about a lot of technology. I've been teaching technology for a really long time, and I've worked in the tech industry since I graduated from college. And so we want to make technology simpler to understand. And that's one thing that I really enjoy when somebody says they learned something new about technology. That makes me happy at the end of a class. So that's what I hope to accomplish today. And when we do things on Get Set Up, we're learning from each other. Ideally, we can see you and your cameras are on. It just helps me to be able to see you if you're waving or something, but it's not a requirement, but we do get to have that environment. You can request a recording. We are recording the class, and you'll be able to request a recording after class by sending an email to help@getsetup.io. If you're joining us by live stream, the best way to participate is to join us and register for a class. Go to getsetup.io and register for a free account. And they're free, and we have 300 classes more adding every day on all types of different topics. So we're not paid to promote specific products. We're just trying to help you learn how to use them, okay? So let's take a look at our agenda, and then I'll ask people for some questions they might have. Talk about what is Windows 10. We're going to learn our way around the desktop, the start menu, and the taskbar. Those are three important tools to use on Windows. We're going to check our computer security. We're going to learn about starting and closing applications, and we're going to learn about right-clicking and maybe using search and a few other tips that are out there as well. So some people, feel pretty comfortable with Windows 10. Some people say, gee, it's like, I still don't know. I know I don't take as much advantage of it as I should. So if you want to put something in chat about on a scale of 1 to 5, how you feel you are at your knowledge of Windows 10, 5 being the best, 1 being, still new to it. Or if you have anything specific, anybody hoping to learn anything specific today about Windows 10. And of course, you may not know if it's Windows or not. We're going to talk about what's part of Windows and what's not part of Windows also. Anybody have any questions or things they're hoping to learn about Windows today? Well, I've got an agenda planned for you, so that's okay too. So I feel like a little bit of a tour guide. When you go to a new city and you have a choice of, well, if you're going to visit, Paris for 1 day, do these things, right? If you're going to be in Paris for 2 days, do these things. If you're going to be in Paris for like 2 weeks, you can do all these things, right? This is not a 2-week trip to Windows. This is kind of like a 1-day trip to Windows. There is another class I do called Windows Settings, which is a good one to follow on with this one, and they can really be taken in any order as well. So I'm going to share a few slides just so we have some common things that we can look at. Okay, Windows 10 is something called an operating system. And an operating system is what makes a piece of computer hardware intelligent. It's basically the hardware, the laptop, the desktop, the case you have, the tablet, your smartphone. Without an operating system, it's really, really dumb. It has no intelligence whatsoever. It has no capability of doing anything. So the operating system is the software. And the software is what gives it power. It gives it the ability to understand commands and to work with applications. And from a technology standpoint, an operating system is the middle layer in a 3-layer cake. So if you know how to eat a 3-layer cake, you know something about operating systems. How's that for an analogy, right? So the middle layer is what keeps the top layer and the bottom layer separated from each other. The top layer usually is the layer that has all the goodies on it, right? And the goodies are applications, things that we use to make our computer more functional. And when we want to do something on our computer, we want to browse the web, we want to send an email, we want to create a document, we want to use Zoom. We are using applications, and the operating system is the middle layer. It translates what the application needs to the hardware, so the hardware knows what to do, what to display on the screen, what to do when you type something on a keyboard, what to print when you send something to a printer. So the operating system does a lot of things, and some operating systems come with some applications that people use every day, like a web browser or an email application. So those are some common things people do every day on their computer. So Macs that are supplied by Apple come with a Mac operating system. Windows is made by Microsoft, and it's sold by Microsoft to computer companies like HP, Dell, etc., that are able to install it and ship computers with Windows 10 pre-installed. So that's how most people get Windows, is it's pre-installed on a computer, regardless of the brand of computer you buy. iPhones and iPads have another operating system. Oops, sorry about that. Sometimes my mouse moves ahead of me. And Android and Chrome is an operating system made by Google. So Windows 10 is the most widely used operating system in the world. It doesn't mean there aren't things that are better or different. It's just one that's really, really common, and it's what most people are familiar with. Okay, and so it's really, really easy to learn about Windows 10 because there's so much learning about it. Okay, when you start up your computer, it brings up something called the desktop. The desktop is where you see everything that's on your computer and you work with it. So it's got a couple of things on it we're going to take a look at: the background, the taskbar, the start menu, tiles, and the search box. Okay. And you can do things with your mouse. Your computer knows how to interpret commands from your mouse. It's like when you're talking to a dog and you're giving a dog a command, sit. When you click on a mouse, you're giving a command to your computer. You're clicking, left clicking to select something, or you can right click to select a list from a list of options. And there's lots of options available in right clicking. So every time you tap a keyboard, something on your keyboard, every time you click on a mouse, you are giving a command to your computer. And the operating system helps interpret that command so it knows what to change on your screen for you, or to play a song, or to play a movie, or do any number of things. But the computer interprets commands. Windows got its name from the window that's created when you open up an application. So I'm going to create a box here. When you open up an application like a web browser, it creates a window on your desktop. When you open up another application like Zoom, it opens up another window. When you open up email, it opens up another window. And so you can have more than one window open at a time, which is where the name Windows came from. And each of these windows has a different application that's running in it. So you might have Zoom running, you might have email, you might have a web browser, you could have, any number of things. The more powerful the computer you have, the more windows you can have open at the same time. And so that's why people tend to spend more money on computers. They want more power. So the commands in all the windows in the upper right are where you can close a window, which closes the application, or you can minimize it, which just moves it to the taskbar, which we'll look at, or you can resize it, okay, so that it doesn't take up the whole screen if you don't want it to, or you can make it bigger. Some basic operations for your computer include power, search, Cortana, and a security and update check. Cortana can be kind of fun. or not. Just depends on who you are. But we'll take a look at what these things mean when your computer's asleep and when it's shut down, and why sleeping is actually a pretty good thing for a computer. Okay. All right. So anybody think of any questions while we were going over some of that? Okay. So now what we want to do is I'm going to share my desktop. Mary, hi. Okay.
Hi.
Did you have a question, Mary?
Yes, I do.
Oh,
What
great.
is Cortana?
Cortana is Microsoft's built-in virtual assistant that will help you do things. Okay. And she can answer questions for you. She can do searches for you. She can interpret commands that you want to ask her to your computer to do.
Thank you.
Sure, sure. And it's part of Windows. You may not have known that. Okay, so we'll take a look. We'll see what Cortana decides to do for me today. Sometimes she behaves and sometimes she doesn't. Okay. So I'm looking at my Windows desktop. One of the things I'm going to do is make everything a little bit bigger for you so you can see it better. I have a big monitor, and what Zoom does is Zoom kind of resizes everything. So I'm going to go into my display settings and change something right away. Okay, I can right click on my screen anywhere in the background. I can go to display settings, and I'm going to just make everything a little bit bigger for you. Okay, so I can change this scale and layout. I want to make everything 125% bigger. Makes everything a little bit bigger and maybe a little bit easier for you to read. That's all I wanted to do. So sometimes a right click will get you there. That's all you have to do. So this is my background. This is my taskbar. The row of things usually at the bottom is your taskbar. There's icons on your desktop, and there might be some icons in your taskbar as well. Usually you'll see a clock in the lower right-hand corner. You might see something that shows your speaker volume, your internet connection, your battery. I use OneDrive, so it tells me I have OneDrive online. I have Microsoft meetings, and so it has an icon here that shows up as well. And then we're going to look at this arrow in a few minutes. Then I have some icons for some applications that I use commonly. And each of these applications is an icon in my taskbar. Then I have some funny icons here. We'll look at those in a minute. I have a search box, and I have something on the lower left called the Start button. The Start button, when you click on that, it opens up what is called the Start menu. And it's probably one of the most important buttons on Windows, because that's exactly how you get to all of your applications. When you click on the Start button, it will display a list of applications in the center, and it displays something called tiles on the right. Tiles are just another way to get to an application quickly. And so they have some suggestions that will be there, but all of your applications are listed in alphabetical order on your application list. So we can go from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, M, O, P, Q, R, all the way to the end here, okay? And so this is how you would find an application if you ever installed one or wanted to see what was on your computer. So the Start menu, just if you want to get rid of that, you just click on the Start button and it opens it up again every time. Well, let's say we wanted to use an application like the calculator. There's a built-in calculator in Windows. So if I click on the calculator button or menu item here, it opens up calculator. And now I have a calculator. This is a window. Okay, so I have my close window. I have my command, since it's not maximized now, it lets me maximize it. So that takes up my whole screen. Now that command is called, scale down, so I can scale it down. I can even drag the corner of a window and adjust the size with my mouse. And if I want to just minimize it, I can click minimize it. Now, if you look on my taskbar at the bottom, there's a calculator icon that shows up here. If I go to another application, say PowerPoint, which I was using just earlier today, and I open up PowerPoint, I see that there's a line underneath calculator and a line underneath PowerPoint. But if I hover over the icon on the taskbar, it shows me a preview of what's at the top of the screen here. So even if I'm covering up, if I cover up PowerPoint with my calculator, I can just hover over PowerPoint and I see what my PowerPoint window has. The application is open in a window. That's what it means. So I have two windows open right now. Okay, so here's my calculator. And let's say I'm done with the calculator. I want to close it. So I'll close the calculator and there's PowerPoint. If I am done with PowerPoint, I can click the X, or I can just minimize it if I want to by clicking the minimize button. I still have it highlighted here in the taskbar, so I can still see what's happening, but calculator is gone now. Well, what if I use the calculator a lot? Okay, and I'd say, gee, I really don't want to have to go to the start menu and scroll through and find calculator all the time. If I go to the start menu and I right click on calculator, then I have some options here. I have the ability to select more. I can uninstall it. I'm not going to do that, but I can select more, and I'm going to pin it to the taskbar. By clicking pin to the taskbar, now the calculator is an icon in my taskbar whenever I want to get to it. It's there whenever I want to get to it. If I prefer having it on my desktop, I can go to the start menu here. It's pinned to my tiles here. I can drag this from my tile out to the desktop and it'll create a calculator link on my desktop right away. So that's how you can get applications on your desktop. I prefer the taskbar, but some people prefer the desktop. Okay, it's just a matter of which you prefer to use and which makes more sense. If you want to delete this, you can right click it and you can click on delete. It does not delete the application. It's just moving it off your desktop. That's all, because it's still here on my taskbar and it's still in my start menu. Those are some things that you can use to help make it easier. It's kind of like when you get into your car to go for a drive, things are positioned so that you can get to them very quickly, but maybe you want to adjust the steering wheel, maybe you want to adjust the seat position, those types of things. So it gives you the ability to kind of customize your desktop so that it's easier for you to get to things you use most frequently. Okay. Any questions about that? Just some tips to help you customize your desktop a little bit.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, Lynn, go ahead.
When you moved that calendar to your desktop, you did it from your taskbar. Is that the only way that you can put something on your desktop?
Well, I'm not sure if it's the only way. Yeah, when I pinned it to my tile here and I dragged it from here. If you try dragging it from the taskbar, it's not going to let you drag it to the desktop very easily. It doesn't do that. So I have found the only way to get it on your desktop is to make sure it's in the tile view here. So I can actually delete this. Let me go back and unpin from start. Okay, so it's gone. And so if I try doing this, oh, it actually does that too. Well, I learned something new today. So it actually, you can just drag it over from the menu, start menu, and it'll put a link to it as well.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I learned something new. I always do when somebody asks a question, you know? Just, I'm not afraid to try it, right? You know, you might have been afraid to do that on your own. So by me doing it, now you know it's perfectly safe to do. So I prefer, my personal style of computing is I don't like a lot of things on my desktop, but other people are happy with, 20 icons, 50 icons on their desktop. Just depends on what makes sense for you. Okay, so let's take a look at powering down and sleep. When you click the start button, there's a little power button here. And when you click the power button, it lets you choose, well, do I go to sleep? Do I shut down or do I restart? Well, most of the time computers are built now so that they should be asleep. It's a low power usage. And if you scroll over sleep, it will actually tell you what it does. Your PC stays powered on, but it uses very little power. Okay. But your applications are just suspended, okay, where you were last using them. So if you have a laptop, for example, and you close the lid on your laptop, that typically puts it to sleep. So, but when you open up the lid again, it takes a second or two to light up the screen, but everything is where you left it, okay? And that, if you just want it to go to sleep, and that's okay. Computers are meant to sleep a lot, okay? When your iPhone or Android phone, the screen goes blank, it's not powered off, it's just asleep. And when it's asleep, Microsoft can update the software. That's one of the good things about it. Shutting down powers it down completely. Turns off all the power to your computer. It will close all the applications. So if you don't need to power it down often. I mean, Microsoft and Apple have both said that maybe restarting your computer once a week is okay for most people. But a shutdown powers it down completely. So it doesn't use any power, closes all of your applications, and it is basically off the network completely. Can't do anything unless you power it back up again. A restart is a way of just powering down and powering back up right away automatically. Sometimes if you have a technical issue with an application, restarting is sometimes a way to get it straightened out, okay? But these days applications are pretty reliable. Normally on your computer, you would just let it go to sleep, and you can put it to sleep manually if you want to. Like say you were working until about 10 o'clock at night and you just don't want the monitor to stay on, you can just go to the Windows start menu and click on sleep, and it will go to sleep. Any questions about power?
Or did you say if you close the lid, it sleeps?
Most of the time, yeah, 99%
Okay.
of the time on a laptop, if you close the lid, it will go to sleep. But desktops obviously don't have a lid on them to close.
Right.
But when your computer is asleep, Windows automatically does what is called Windows Update. Okay, so when your computer's asleep, Windows Update works. Now I'm going to type in something in the search box here. I just click my cursor in there and a search menu pops up. Okay, and you can use the search box to search for applications. You can use it to search for files that you have on your computer. You can use it to search the web. And they give you some quick searches that might be of interest to you. But we can also use it to search for a setting called Windows Update. I'm just going to type in Windows Update, and sure enough, Windows Update comes up, check for updates. Okay. So if I click on updates, it automatically opens up the settings for update. And it tells me I'm up to date, last checked 9/23. Okay. And Windows will automatically, out of the box, when you bought your computer, Windows is set up to automatically go to Microsoft when your computer is on the internet, check for updates, and then it will install them when your computer is outside of active hours. You can see at the bottom here, we've got something called change active hours. And my active hours are just set from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So Windows sometimes has to install an update that restarts your computer. It won't do that between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. It'll do it afterwards when my computer is asleep. So letting your computer sleep gives it the ability to update software automatically. Your phone and your tablet also do that as well when it's asleep. So it's keeping itself busy. It's not just ignoring you, okay? And so that's a quick setting. Now, the other thing that this Windows update has is a link to Windows security. And if you want to do a security check, you can check Windows security and it'll show you you've got virus and threat protection, no actions needed, account, firewall, app security. And Microsoft, out of the box, Windows 10 comes with its own security software. It's not necessary to purchase or install anything else. Okay, so what you can do sometimes is computer companies will supply you with a computer that, and you open it up and it says, hey, enroll for a 30-day free trial of such and such security software. A lot of people do, but you don't have to. Windows comes with built-in security. And I actually did some research for a question that came up on another class. If you uninstall your current security software that you might be paying for, Windows 10 will automatically take over the work with Windows security if you uninstall something else. So you are virtually never unprotected with Windows 10. You will always have a security, an antivirus, and anti-malware tool available to you. Anybody have any questions about that? About security? And it'll tell you if you want to open up Windows security, what security you're using. So I just want you to be assured that you're always protected with Windows 10. Okay, let's take a look at something else on the taskbar. There's this little circle called Cortana. Cortana is free, and it's something that is Microsoft's assistant. So I can click on Cortana and it opens up a little Cortana window. And if I wanted to ask Cortana something, I can type in a question or I can talk to Cortana. Okay, I ride bicycles and I was measuring myself for a new bicycle helmet and they're all in centimeters. And I didn't have a measuring tape that was in centimeters. So what you do to measure your helmet size is you take a piece of string and wrap it around your head and then hold on to it with your finger and then lay it down and then measure it, right? Then you know what size helmet you need. And mine was 22 inches, okay? I don't know if that's big or small, but that's what it was. So I had to convert that to centimeters. So I could do something like go to the web, but I could also do something like this. Hey, Cortana, how many centimeters is 22 inches?
22 inches is 55.88 centimeters.
And I have my answer right there. And I didn't have to even bother doing a web search or anything like that. So who's in a different part of the country? Kip, what part of the country are you located?
I'm in Canada, Toronto,
Okay.
Eastern.
What's the weather in Toronto, Canada today?
The forecast in Toronto, Ontario shows partly sunny skies, 51 and a low of 42 with a slight chance of rain. Right now, it's cloudy and 49.
There you go, right? So you can ask Cortana, she'll search the web, she'll search your computer. So if I wanted to get really lazy, say I didn't even want to, click on finding an application or something, I can say, Cortana, open the calculator application.
I've got this for you on Cortana. Open the calculator application.
Well, okay, it's giving me instructions for how to do it. Sometimes she'll open it up okay for me. She's using Bing's, Microsoft's website search engine, Bing, to do these things. But you can ask almost any type of question. It's similar to the Amazon Assistant and to the Apple Assistant that they provide. So all three companies provide one. It's just a matter of which one's most convenient, and it's built into Windows. You can type questions too, if you want to. Okay, so if we wanted to see, what is okay, I wanted to find pizza in Detroit, Michigan. It gives me a couple of places, right? So you can do all kinds of things. It'll search the web for you. So you can set up reminders, you can set up other things. It's integrated into Windows, so it works with the Windows applications as well. That's what that circle is, Cortana. Do you ever have a situation where you wanted to go back and look at something you were working on last week, but you couldn't remember what it was? That sometimes that happens to me, that you forget, gee, I know I was working on a PowerPoint presentation last week, but where did I put that? Or you were doing something on your computer yesterday and you say, I just want to go back to that. I'll answer your question in a minute, Joanne has a question. How do you get Cortana? Well, Cortana is free. If you don't see it on your computer, you can go to the Microsoft App Store and download it. So we'll take a look at it that way. But normally it shows up as an icon here, but we'll take a look at the Microsoft App Store as well. So I want to explain this one little icon here called Task View. Sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. I didn't modify Windows at all when I bought my computer, but sometimes manufacturers do make a few changes in how it looks on your desktop. But this is the standard Microsoft view. This is called Task View. And when you click on it, it brings up the things you were doing today or earlier today or yesterday or even earlier. It goes back about 30 days and it just pulls up things you were doing, what applications, and will take you right to whatever it is you're doing on your computer. If you don't want to see this, and just click outside of it and it disappears. So it's just a way to get a little bit of history on what you've been doing on your computer. You can show more days. It normally shows 30 days, but it lets you display more information if you want to. Okay, so Joanne asked a good question. How do you get Cortana? Actually, how do you get anything, really? Well, there's an application in Microsoft in the Start menu called the Microsoft Store. Now, I already have Cortana installed, so I see it in the list here of applications I have installed. But if I wanted to find something else to install on my computer, I could go to the Microsoft Store it's an application in your start menu. So if I go to the Microsoft Store, if I open it up, it opens up the Microsoft Store for me. And I can do all kinds of things. I can search the store. So let's see if Cortana is in here. There it is, Cortana app. Okay, and so if I click on Cortana, it'll bring up the Cortana app listing. It's free. And I already have it installed, so I can launch it, but it will say get if you don't have it. Tells you who it's made by and what it's for. And it will give you all types of things to let you know about it. So, and it tells you this product is installed. So that's how you get things if you don't see them on your computer. Joanne, did that take care of that for you?
Yes, Bob, thank you.
Sure. Have you ever used the Microsoft Store?
No, I don't know what it is.
It's the software store that Microsoft includes with your computer. That additional application for your computer. So I'm going to go back to the main menu in the Microsoft Store. And they have categories like home, gaming, entertainment. So somebody said, gee, can I download Amazon Prime Video and so I can watch movies on my PC? Yeah, you can. You can get Spotify, you can get Amazon Music. And so other things are available, even different types of things. They even sell movies. So you actually can rent or buy movies from Microsoft directly here on the store. So you'll find that it's a good resource. You can get productivity apps like, things that are drawing apps, Microsoft Office, things like that. And then they sometimes have special deals, browse our current deals. Okay. People play games on their PCs a lot. I'm not a big PC gamer, but they do have a lot of these things that are available. So they have movies and specials and other things that are available for you. So it's not just a application, it's a media library as well. And they'll keep track of what you have already installed. And I wonder what see more is. Whenever you see 3 dots anywhere on a computer screen, it means there's more that you can click on. So okay, so I can do different things. Okay, so I can see what I purchased, my downloads, settings, a few other things. Okay, I rarely look at that. That's not as big a deal for me. So that's the Microsoft Store. It's in your start menu under Microsoft in the list of applications. There's another little application. I haven't shown this to any class before, but there are some things here that are available. I think if I found it the other day, let me see if I can find it here again. Under Microsoft, there it is, Feedback Hub. If you ever want to give feedback to Microsoft, you can use this, or you can get help. That's what I was looking for. It's called Get Help. Get Help brings up a Microsoft chat session that uses their artificial intelligence assistant, but it gives you the ability to describe a problem you're having with your computer, and they'll help you find a solution. Like common things, like one of the common things is adding a printer or other things, but you can type in whatever problem you have, and rather than looking on the web, to find something to help you because you want something directly from Microsoft because you can trust them more than you can some third-party websites. If you're just looking for help from Microsoft, you can go to this feature called Get Help. And it's built into Windows whenever you need help on anything with Microsoft products. If you like it so much and you want to use it a lot, you can right click and pin it to the start menu, and it'll show up in these tiles, and you can just drag it to where you want it to be by clicking on it and moving it around. Any questions about that? Pretty neat tools that are built into Microsoft. There's just a lot of stuff that they gave you that's built in already. Now, one of the things that puzzles people sometimes is you might see a little arrow in your taskbar. It says show hidden icons. So if I click on that, there's a security shield. It's got a green check mark. The reason Microsoft doesn't show all the icons is they don't want to clutter up your taskbar all the time, but they might show you some things here that might be interesting. And you can always get to Windows security from your taskbar. If you don't see the security icon, you can just click on it. Usually if there's a problem, your icon will show up with a yellow or a red warning, because that's basically says you need to update your security and virus protection or do other things that are required. But normally you would see a warning in your taskbar if that shows up. But if it doesn't show up there, you don't need to worry about it. Okay, so those are some things to look. And you see if I hover over the Microsoft Store, I can see a preview. If I hover over PowerPoint, I can see a preview as well. So they aren't closed. I just have the ability to preview what's in each of these screens whenever I want to look at it. But if I close the window, it takes it out of the taskbar.
Now, I have a question about the security. If
Vera.
Window comes with security, why would you need to update it?
Well, Windows provides updates automatically. Okay, so security is something in a point in time. The reason that you need to update your Windows operating system and your security software is that people like hackers tend to develop new ways around things that Microsoft has figured out a way to block. Okay, and so I don't know if you heard about this pipeline that had to shut down because of something called ransomware. You heard about that in the news?
Yeah.
Chances are, I can't guarantee it because I don't know the details on it, but the most likely reason that ransomware was able to get into their computers was because they might have had a computer that was not up to date with Microsoft's Windows update and Microsoft security settings. Now, it doesn't mean that if you update it, you're going to be 100% protected, but you're going to be a lot better off. It's kind of like the situation where if you have a house and you have a lock on the front door, a burglar is probably going to go to a different house that doesn't have a lock. So if you have 5 houses and 4 of them have locks on the front doors, and 4 of them have windows closed, and 4 of them have lights that are coming on and off while people are on vacation, and one of them is dark all the time, a burglar is probably going to pick the easiest target, right? And computer criminals do the same thing. They look for the easiest targets. And so they create software that will work, that will try and find its way around what Microsoft tries to protect you from. And so if you update Microsoft, if you update your security and Windows update, you are as protected as anyone can be out there. But tomorrow is a different day. And so tomorrow, somebody may try and figure out another way around Windows security. Okay, so that's why updates are important, because every day it changes.
Oh, thank you. That's interesting.
Yeah. You know, I don't do.
It's scary. It's scary.
Well, and that's why if you're, you know, for the average consumer user, the thing we need to protect from, as long as we have Windows Update and Windows Security, or we're using something else from, say, Norton or McAfee or other people, they're fine as well. As long as you have that up to date and they're updating automatically, you're as protected as almost anybody can be. Because people are going to, the hackers and the criminals will try and hack into your computer, not to necessarily get to your information, but to use your computer as a byway, as a relay point to get into something else, is what they tend to do. But for most people, I mean, I've never had a problem with any hacking or security. I've been very fortunate, but I just make sure my software is up to date all the time. And so there's, but Windows is the most popular, computer operating system out there. And so it tends to be, like Jesse James, he was asked after he was arrested finally why he robbed banks. And he said, because that's where the money is, right? So if you're going to try and hack into computers, you go after the biggest, operating system there is out there, Windows 10. Okay, one last trick I want to show you in Windows. Anybody have any other questions? Okay. Joanne says she was taken over by a hacker claiming to be Microsoft. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry that you did that. Yeah, Microsoft will never contact you about taking over your computer. They never do that. If something doesn't work with a bank or an organization, excuse me, sorry about that. It's springtime, pollen season. They will close your account, and you have to call them to get things working again. They never tell you that it's something else, right? But that's a form of, hackers. I mean, they're in the business, they're criminals, right? And it's easy for them to fool people sometimes. And so sometimes people don't know. I used to remember that, we used to get phone scams all the time, but nobody bothers calling us on the phone so much anymore, because they send us emails and other things that are out there too. Okay. One
They
last
still
thing.
do, Bob. They just use rotary numbers. And they
Yeah.
call, 1, 2, 3. Next is 1, 2, 3, 4. And they go, around and around until they can find somebody they can talk to.
Right. You
And
shouldn't.
it's usually a senior at home during the day. And, then they get to us like they're smooth like bread, let me tell you.
John, I don't know if you can find it, but we do have a class on scams that is taught at Get Set Up. Has anyone taken that by any chance?
I have.
Yeah. Would you recommend it, Shirley, to other people?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because they're up on it all the time. They're up on the newest and the newest things. And these hackers, with Microsoft comes out with something new and they're just one step ahead of them all the time.
It's like
the hackers are.
mouse.
Yeah.
It's like a cat and mouse game. So keeping up to date is the most important thing you can do. And that will help assure you. But sometimes you get a weird message, I mean, there's so many spam emails. So I recommend that scams class. That's really a good class. Okay, one last thing I want to show you. When you're on your desktop, if you right click, you have the ability to personalize your desktop background. If you click on personalize, it will automatically bring up your background picture, and you can browse your computer for any photo you have on it. And if you find a photo that you'd like to have there, you can pick one out and select it on your computer, choose that picture, and it'll change your background photo. And you can do that just from right-clicking on your background. So now when I minimize this, you can see that's my new background. That's an English cottage garden, by the way. I don't know where in England, but it's there.
Nice.
Yeah, and so if you have a photo, you can do that. Oh, thank you, John. John posted in chat, Common Scams and Frauds is the name of the class, Common Scams and Frauds. Okay, so if you go to getsetup.io after class and you want to register for that, look for Common Scams and Frauds. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Okay, so what you learned how to change your background. And we did a lot of things. So let me change my screen sharing back to my slide presentation, and we'll close things out and take a few questions. Windows 10 is Microsoft's operating system. Virtually all retail computers will come with it pre-installed. Your desktop has these icons, and we can use search. We learned about Cortana. We learned about the Microsoft Store. Boy, we covered a lot today. Okay, and so it's really helpful to get questions. John posted something in chat that you can find classes of a particular guide. So if you have a guide that you want to find, you can search their name in the search bar now. Which is a new resource. We didn't used to have that. Now it's available. So I recommend you, if you're interested in more of my classes, you can just type my name in the search bar, Bob Cohen, and use that. Thanks, John, for posting that. That's really helpful. So share your experience. We love to hear from learners about things they've learned about Get Set Up that help them. You'll get a copy of an email after class with class notes and some suggestions for class. They don't always let me suggest a specific class. So if this Common Scams and Frauds isn't there, just go ahead and do a search over that too. And we're going to put some classes together on some web browsers. Edge, Lynn, is a web browser. And I do a class on all about browsers. It doesn't go into specifics about each browser, but we do cover tabs. And how you open up tabs in browsers. And that's how you'd go and use Flip. But browsers are an application that come with the operating system, but are also available for you to download separately. That's an example of where an operating system might include a common application. When you register for a class now, you can invite a friend, and encourage you to do that. And we have members that are starting to host interest groups. I recommend you look at suggesting a new class. We get a lot of requests for technology classes and what we might want. We have organizations that we participate with. You can request a session recording at help@getsetup.io. And we have a few minutes for some questions. But let me ask you, who learned something new today that they didn't know before class? All right, that's good. That's good. And then I feel like the hour was worthwhile. Thank you. And so anybody have any questions before we go? Carol, do you have your hand up? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes, Bob. I noticed when I put in my chat, hi, everyone, it didn't come up. So I think it's something I did not do.
Did you hit the return key on your keyboard after you typed it in chat?
No, I did not.
Okay, there you go. Okay, let's see if it put it up there. Okay, thank you, Bob. Gerald, Carol, Lynn, Joanne. Okay, so I didn't see it. It might have been a different time. So usually that pops up. Now, sometimes on the chat, it may have a chat. It normally says to everyone in chat, and that way, but they do give you the ability to send a chat to specific people. Okay, so if it's not showing up, then it should be everyone. But you can send an email to help@getsetup.io, and they might be able to help you with solving that problem. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you all for coming today and participating. And
Thanks, Bob.
I hope you learned something new about Windows 10 that you can take and take advantage of. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very
Bye-bye.
much.
Bob, there's a
Bonus
question in the
class.
chat.
Bonus class.
Yeah, John, I mentioned that to Lynn as about, it's something with